Alright, we're back, boys. It didn't take much of a break. Just got it swapped over, and we're hopping straight into the action. It is currently actually 5-2 to G2, so they are leading here on the CT side of Nuke. But currently around where OpTic definitely do have a chance. It looks like they have a bit of a weaker buy, but they've got full control of that A-bomb site. Shox, Kenny, and Jax are going to be the ones that have to try and retake. Smoke still being down, holding them off for now. Occasion being actually wall-banged from heaven, I believe, somehow. For now, OpTic are just holding off, waiting for G2 to try and make the play. As you can see, it comes in. Config, though, gets the initial kill. Occasion follows it up with a trade on the Shox, leaving only Kenny alive with no time on the clock anymore. He does just have to run away and save that op. Really the only thing that he can do. Having a look actually at their economy, it is not great. Definitely not a great economy. Kenny has enough to drop over a rifle if they wanted, but it's likely, I'd say, that they just take an eco. I guess that does depend on how much money they're getting in this next round. We'll have to check that because we're not actually sure about the loss bonus. Okay, so that's 2 rounds now in a row for OpTic, so it's going to be $2,400 being given to G2 in this next round, meaning they could have ecoed in this one and still got a buy, but they decided against it. Kenny actually able to drop over an op to Shox, purchase up another one, of course. And they do have a double op setup, an AUG, a shotgun, and a CZ. And this is definitely a map where that CZ and shotgun can still be quite effective. So it's overall a pretty decent buy, but a risky one from G2, it has to be said. Body up close right now with this auto shotgun. A very common position for it to be played around the hut. Body trying to pounce on the opportunity to push forward. That Molotov actually pretty much forced them to do so. Jax playing up close here, drops the smoke to try and play around, and eventually gets that kill on Occasion. But it wasn't before Occasion got a kill of his own towards Lucky, and Refresh with a trade ensures that OpTic do retain that man advantage as they take control of the A-bomb site. Bomb should be planted, and Shox and Kenny, I don't think they'll really want to go for this retake with the 2 ops. I think, as you can see already, beginning to just run away. Their goal being to save those 2 weapons into the next round, where likely G2 will just have to go ahead and take an eco. You wouldn't imagine OpTic will be too comfortable trying to actually hunt them down, though, of course, not having too much money to themselves. Here it is. Both weapons at least to be saved over. A small positive, but as I said, G2 are going to have to just eco into this round, meaning we should see OpTic equalizing the score early on at 5-5, which of course, OpTic being on the T side of Nuke, they'll be happy with that. All about grinding those rounds out. Trying to get as many on the board as you can. Let's see. Kenny and Shox have the impact that is required for them to try and actually pick up this round. Already OpTic, of course, finding that outside control. The quick wall of smokes to get secret control. And a couple players actually went over the hut, I believe, to get towards the towards hell. They've actually creeped up now around the rafters. Meaning heaven is going to be a weakness here for G2. Those players on the A-bomb site I don't think are going to be expecting this. And it could definitely be vulnerable to that position. There you go. Snappy gets the opening kill. Body does tread one back. Snappy needs to be careful. That P250 done some damage. And trying to win. Eventually gets taken down by Body, but there's Refresh to come back with the trades. Stabilizing things and actually dropping Kenny on the op. So it is going to be now a 3v2. Shock still alive with his op from heaven. But those Molotovs pretty much going to neutralize him being able to do anything for quite a while. As a kill during that time period does also come in towards Jax. So Shox again, I think his real hope here is to just try and run away and save the op, but I don't think that's going to be allowed this time. Refresh is holding down towards ramp room, which is currently where Shox is going to be creeping towards, and likely creeps into the crosshair to his doom. Indeed it is, goes down 5-5. OpTic going to equalize the scoreline. As I said, they'll be very happy with this already. 5 rounds being picked up on the T side this early on Nuke. It's all about the grind. Bring it up to 6 or 7 and they feel pretty happy. G2 really need to start making these gun rounds work now. Haven't lost, I believe, at this point, 4 rounds in a row. It's becoming a little bit shaky. Full loss bonus at least being built up for them. That is a positive. But again, it's not a spectacular buy. Already with the round having barely begun, there's 1 minute and 25 seconds. They have very little utility. 1 smoke, 2 Molotovs, a couple of flashes, and a grenade. Definitely not ideal. 1 defuse kit as well, and also a lot of the players lacking head armor, which isn't going to be an issue against those AKs. But there we go, Shocks. Aggressive on outside, catches the timing, lucky in body, shutting down the push that was going towards A. Eventually, a few trades do come in. Occasion on the AK with 2 quick headshots suddenly recovers things back for OpTic. As a 2v2 comes into play now. That bomb being brought towards ramp. Body actually does have an idea what's going on and drops it. Meaning Cajun now has to try and retrieve that. It's going to be tough, but he does catch Shocks coming down secret. So 1v1 at least in play. Body positioning himself ready on the AUG. There you go, he's going to shut it down. A very active round from both sides. Happy to take the fights. Eventually G2 edge it out, but of course OpTic have enough to rebuy into this one. And G2 living with only a single player means that they are going to be lacking a little bit onto some of the players. If FAMAS comes out for Kenny, Lucky probably going to be on a weaker weapon as well. Shocks can maybe get an M4 if he goes body armor. And that's what he does, but of course not much utility brought on the Shocks. Elsewhere the utility is okay, but overall it's just a relatively weak buy. And Shocks again gets aggressive. This time trying to play around the smoke. Gets spotted through the gap in the box there by Yugi and taken down. Config had got into this position very quickly as well. He had actually straight up bypassed Shocks, so I don't think they'd expect him to be there that quickly. You can see they definitely didn't. Jax ends up taking some damage. Kenny trying to force the fight here. Needs to be careful. Config also coming out of heaven. Gets both headshots with the FAMAS. Giving them a chance in this round for sure. Occasion able to find a kill elsewhere. It does give them the opening again, as I believe that bomb now making its way on towards B. Will indeed be in the hands of Yugi. And it is going to be planted. 3 on 3. The retake definitely doable this time. There is the defuse kit for body. Not much utility though, bar that with nades. So they just look to try and push forward pretty quickly. Of course, Yugi alongside Cajun in some good positions to shut this one down. Body and Kenny slowly pushing forward now, being just picked off one by one. As Kenny's left in the 1 on 3. Spots Cajun in the back corner and takes him down. Knows that Yugi was somewhere below because he planted that bomb. Sadly, wasn't able to find it. Yugi with the quick headshot. 6-6. The reset comes in onto the economy of G2. And they are put into an absolutely horrible position where they now face a double eco onto the majority of their players. Meaning a force buy probably what they will have to go for right here. They do just go for the deagles. Half buy. They're going to have to eco this. Eco the next one as well though, rather. So probably will, because of this C, OpTic bringing up 8 rounds at least on this T side. Potentially that 9th could be found against the last gun round from G2. 1 for 1 early on though. And with that B going to be coming under the control of OpTic, although there's a couple players already rotated down. So maybe some opportunity for these pistols to try and find the frags, but so far OpTic doing a pretty good job. Body from a potential flank. Does actually find one. Now this could get dangerous, okay? Because an AK has been retrieved. Body with that in his hands. Again, though, no defuse kit, meaning they have to work heavily against the time every time that bomb gets planted. It's very difficult. It's only Kenny now. Dink coming in with the deagle through the, I believe, metal bar. Find that frag. Eventually takes down Yugi. And still spot Cajun. Yet again, still yet to actually finish him off. And Config, of course, still just hiding behind that silo. Ready when the peak comes in. Go ahead and actually take down Kenny. 7 for OpTic. And as I said, G2, of course, still not going to be able to buy in this round. We should see 8 on the board for OpTic on that T side. As a pause has been called in. At this point, it's pretty much got to be a tactical pause from G2. Find out what's going wrong. As I said, probably do have to concede an 8th round, and that puts them in the optimal position of finding 7 here on the CT side of Nuke. Definitely not ideal. We can actually have a look at the map view. We didn't get to go over that, of course, since we hopped in a bit late when we were covering the previous match between 3D Max and Big. OpTic removed with Cash, G2 removed Mirage. OpTic picked Nuke, so this is OpTic's map choice. G2 coming in with the pick of Dust 2, and if needed, Inferno then will be the decider. So, not the end of things for G2 here. It is, of course, as I said, OpTic's map choice. But it's just not looking good on this first map to start things off. Dust 2, though, not a great map for OpTic, so wouldn't be too surprised if G2 definitely do recover on that one. And then heading on to Inferno, I think, is where things could get really close. Let's see, fewer credit pistols, a chance for some frags to come in at least. But at this point, damage isn't too big of a deal. There's very little money though for OpTic, so if G2 do bring it down to maybe just one player surviving, then maybe OpTic would have to get an SMG or something to the next round. But of course, coming towards the end of the half, long-term economy damage not being really an issue. Flashes towards outside. But he gets one, as there's Jax. Weapon not going to be retrieved quite yet, but OpTic under a little bit of pressure here with the pushes coming in. Snappy going to begin to deal with things as he finds one for himself. Kenny on the dig going to come in towards Refresh. So it is now a 2-on-3. Snappy going to cut in the open, resorting back to the Glock. 12 HP eventually finished off. That's the bomb dropped. This would be a massive round for G2 to actually come out on top of. And Jax, he gets the final headshot. Occasion creeping out into the crosshair will be shut down by the Deagle. 7-7. G2 can actually still bring this up to 8. And suddenly it's OpTic that are actually left with a very weak economy, as they do average just around $3,000. Final round and a half. They have to buy up, of course. It is going to be seemingly a quicker play here. The door at least been opened up. I believe it was blown off the hinges. Asian able to actually make his way straight down the vent, meaning the bomb plant should come in. But as we can see, rotation already in place. It's actually Jax down here on B. Nade going to be a little bit too late. G2 could be in a bit of trouble because OpTic are all over the place right now. The one is down on B, sure, but they need to be careful of flanks, etc. So let's see how it goes. Refresh the timing perfect there to catch that one kill with the UMP. Jax already on the bomb site, though. Seemingly OpTic were unaware, allowing him to actually find one, rather. Leaving it all onto Refresh and Snappy. Refresh in a good position though, playing from the door. Moving as he opens it, gets the headshot onto Jax. And now the bomb is taken away. Body has to hop on it. He's the one with the defuse kit. The spam should come true. And that's it. This round pretty much over and done with. OpTic are going to take it up to 8 at the half time. As we get a strange third-person view there as we spot everyone die to the explosion. 8-7. Indeed being the scoreline that OpTic lead by as we head into the second half. Again, 8 rounds on the D side being pretty spectacular. This is OpTic's map choice, so you'd expect them to be looking good here. And they definitely are. When we joined, of course, it was 5-2 at one point to G2. Hopefully, we won't be too long waiting to get into the second half to kick it off. But, for now, anyway, G2 somewhat taking their time to get back into things. It's definitely not over for G2. We know that they're more than capable. They have the firepower, so if they can pick up the pistol round here on the second half, you definitely cannot count them out. But OpTic were definitely looking impressive back on that T side. I believe everyone pretty much stepping it up. Of course, I wanted to have a look at the scoreboard, but on ESEA servers, you cannot actually see the stats at halftime, sadly. It's been a long day, of course, for both of these teams, especially for OpTic having played a series earlier on. I don't know if G2 actually did. I believe they did. I will actually have a check, and I guess I can kind of go over the brackets a little bit actually about what's been going on so far of course, here in the European closed qualifier for IEM Sydney. Today, at least, we did have, I believe it was Hellraisers against OpTic, with OpTic, yeah, taking it 2-1. G2 took on Forza, and actually only took that 2-1 as well, so they did drop a map against Forza. I can actually have a check and see what map that was. I'm going to go ahead and have a quick look, but as you can see, we are almost ready to get back into the game. Things are going to be going live. And just to give you that info, the map that they did lose up against Forza was Dust 2. So that's surprising, because G2 chose Dust 2 coming into this matchup against OpTic. Although it isn't a great map for OpTic. If G2 were struggling earlier on against Forza on it, then it definitely could still be somewhat worrisome. But here we go. We're going to be getting live into the second half now. Pistol round has commenced. And again, OpTic, they don't pick up the fuse kits on the CT side very often. Normally we see them just go with the 5 sets of Kevlar, which in this case at least hasn't worked out to start things off. Config trying to peek into the door gets taken down. As the commitment towards A looks quite likely. Molotov on top of the hood to stop anyone from playing above. And let's see if this is going to work out. Cajun finding the opening kill from heaven. Apologies again about the dog. The Glocks, though, are going to be returning things. A 4-on-2. There we go. Another kill coming in from Shocks on the Glock. So it is only Snappy that remains. Apologies, guys. The dog can get a little bit loud at times. Snappy at this point may just want to consider saving that Kevlar, in all honesty. But he is seeing if he can maybe catch a couple of exit frags. Being pushed down currently. He getting up close on the Glock. Jack's doing the same, jumping around. He should indeed be dropped pretty quickly. Why does Autodirector do this? I just don't understand. Takes us away from the action for some strange reason. As it is 8-8. A big pistol round, as I said, for G2. They'd pretty much need to pick that one up, otherwise they'd be in a tough spot with OpTic really building up a lead early on the CT side. And this one anyway, OpTic happy enough to take the full eco, so they'll be getting the gun round out in the next one. Although, of course, it will not be perfect to get $2,400, so averaging around $4,400 onto the majority of players, $4,450 rather, so it will be at least the rifles and some utility, but I don't think they'll have an op coming out. Unless, of course, Cajun or Snappy wanted to go for a glass cannon. You didn't even hear the dog? I put my hand over the mic, so I was hoping that you wouldn't hear the dog. She was very loud, though. She does bark very loud. Cameraman? There is no cameraman. I'm doing it all, boys. The jack of all trades. Not really. I'm terrible at it all. But yeah, there we go. Refresh actually finds the opening kill. Shocks had creeped down towards B, but actually OpTic having a little bit of a stack in place. Could be somewhat awkward for G2. Spotted from the door. Gets a dink somehow. His body has actually dropped to 5 health. That could be somewhat dangerous in the outcome of this round. Potentially going back towards A now as they take vent control. Yugi hears them coming up. Eventually gets that one kill on body to finish him off. But the bomb is indeed going to be planted, and this should be pretty easy now for G2 to close this out. But good damage. OpTic puts 0 investment actually into this round. What is the dog name? Her name is Wednesday. She's named after Wednesday Addams from the Addams family because she's a weird dog. My brother named her. As Config can at least potentially save a Galil. I would say that's worthwhile. Sure, the M4 or the Yogg would be better, but it does, of course, give the chance for at least one player on OpTic to pick up that extra utility. So I would say worthwhile. And indeed, he will carry it over. So G2, although they do get into the lead, this is, of course, where OpTic will be able to pull out the guns. This is could be a telltale round. If G2 pick this up, then perhaps there's an opportunity for them to really begin to build up some momentum here on the T side of Nuke. If OpTic find it, though, of course, G2 haven't taken a lot of damage in that previous round, would pretty much instantly be forced down onto an eco, or potentially the force buy with a double eco facing a few players. Body actually already finding the opening kill. Been able to creep down vent. Not the greatest of positions for Cajun B to be in. Molly towards ramp room should be able to stop Snappy from being able to do too much, although he tries to push forward of it. Gets that one kill, but does end up burning alive, sadly, as Jax was also there to do some damage. So a 4-on-3, the man advantage does stay in favor of the French side for now. As the bomb does get planted. OpTic, if they aren't able to find a quick kill, I don't think this retake will really be worthwhile going for. And it seems like they've already decided that they do just want to go ahead and back off and go for the save. Making their way into the spawns. Looks like they will actually be able to save. Yugi could be in trouble. That's the op as well. He's been pushed down now with a flash coming in. Did they find them in time is the question. Oh, I was trying to swap to him, but it actually went back itself. And he ends up finding both kills. Bit of damage being put again in on the G2, who are not surviving these rounds very cleanly. And it looks like OpTic may just force straight up into this one. Being able to actually save the 3 weapons. They do indeed want to go for it. Cajun gets a FAMAS, Config still with the Galil, M4s and an op in play. So it's a pretty good buy round overall for OpTic, all things considered. And again, if they do just take one round, instantly G2 will be working with a very weak economy. So a tough spot for them to be in. Early on, G2 already finding that secret control, though. One player down here to try and hold it. He has no idea that the push is coming in, though. That must be some form of a miscommunication. His Body doubles down towards Config. Snappy doing his best. Gets a double kill quickly. One more coming out towards the actual bomb site. As it is Kenny to trade back. 3 versus 2. Kenny spots one out towards the ramp room as well and quickly removes of Yugi. With that, suddenly Refresh left all alone. He's up towards A. The bomb probably going to be planted on B quite soon. Although for now, G2 are taking their time, waiting for him to show himself. Camera guy is useless. Yeah, that was me. The auto director wasn't working, so I tried to swap to him. And it actually did swap to him as I pressed this, so it just messed up. But yeah, right now, not really much for Refresh to do. Should be saving. Although he could maybe hold this down. He's going to be coming in from behind on ramp, which Kenny doesn't really expect. Gives him the chance to take that one kill at least. With 2 more to go. Maybe it is doable. I don't think there was a defuse kit in place, sadly, for OpTic, so I don't believe there's one anywhere for him to actually retrieve. I mean, of course, time going to make things extra difficult, but he's coming down the vent now. There is actually a defuse kit right there. Just picked one up as I say it. Of course, so this is really doable. Lucky on 19 HP. Jax is the main one he has to deal with, and he's actually going to be the first one that he finds to fight against. Of course, Jax has the door open, though, so posted up on it. Gets dinked, but does find the headshot, so it is okay. 11 to 8 again, though, a pretty close round with the damage coming in. G2 put down into a position where, again, only surviving with 2 players, have to drop over some weapons. But OpTic having invested pretty much completely into that previous round, they're in a weird position. Refresh and Cajun can't really buy, but the rest of them can. So it looks like they're going to go in for the force here. Config on the auto shotty. Yugi able to get a glass cannon up. Overall, it is a pretty decent buy. And of course, they have been continuing to do the damage quite consistently. There we go. Pause has been removed. We're back into the action already, guys. As it is going to be early on, just a grouping towards the radio room, actually, for G2. This nade could do some good damage, in all honesty. Not really too much actually being connected, so not a big deal. But they've, for one of the first times, I believe, not really shown any presence on outside. Normally they've gone for that control, and I guess we can see why, because this time around they're going to look to try and just take it quickly on towards A, perhaps. A little bit of a change up. As for now, they do at least continue to hold, rather. Jack's on a Mach 10. Probably not great from the peeking towards ramp, in all honesty. Definitely a very dangerous play to be making. Here we go. Looks like G2 eventually are going to move forward. As I said, it looked like they were preparing for this A-hit with all their players towards the lobby. The auto shot going to be the first point of contact in the hands of Config. Gets one. Trades are going to be coming back in right now. At least OpTic finding some success. But eventually, G2, they do actually manage to stabilize. 3-on-2 being found. Again, no defuse kit in play for Yugi or Snappy. As the bomb will eventually be retrieved and brought towards the site. Can they do anything before it's put down, though, is the question. The barrel of body being spotted. Goes for the repeak. Does find the info of where Snappy's currently positioned towards, but he needs to be careful. Doesn't want to go down. It doesn't matter because body finds the kill anyway. Only Yugi now that remains. With the up in hands. Again, the only real thing that he can do at this point is just go ahead and save it. A 1v3 glass cannon without a kit is pretty much impossible. And he's not going to be allowed to save. Gets taken down very quickly. As Shox comes out and rips his head off. Not going to be saved, at least. That is a positive. But it is still the 12-8 lead. As we should see at least somewhat of an eco coming in from OpTic. They're able to invest, but not everything. They need to keep money so they can buy into the next round. So it's a couple scouts and some pistols. That's all they're really allowed to pull out into this one. Pick is this? This is the pick of OpTic, so the fact that they are now losing 12-8 is not good. Looked so impressive back on the T side, but since the roles have reversed, it's been G2 in full control. As I say that though, of course, Kenny does get tagged down considerably by the scout, so early on into this round at least the HP advantage going in favor of OpTic. But actually Config getting aggressive. Scout not the best weapon to be pushing in on ramp with, in all honesty, and you consider he does indeed pay the price for it. Body with a quick headshot. 5-on-4 going to be going in favor of G2. Just around 50 seconds left for them to actually make a decision about where they're going to take this towards. Really taking their time. This could work against them. Need to get these openings quick and choose which bomb site they want to go towards. Shock's taking damage as well now, meaning him and Kenny are quite heavily tagged up. But let's see. Pushing forward, they have the pistols and the scout to deal with. Can they actually overcome the defense is the question. So far being fairly successful, but good damage is actually being put in. Lucky and Jax now both sitting low. Cajun actually retrieving an AK. Body is the only one looking healthy. He actually does find the spam on Cajun, and Refresh pushing out from heaven, rather. He will be taken down by Jax. 13-8. The gun round now going to come in from OpTic, but they have to make this gun round right here work. Otherwise, G2 probably going to be looking at map point already. Very quick control again towards Secret. We've seen this already, and again, Body somehow opens that up. I think that's like maybe the third or fourth time rather that he's got down Secret and just found these opening kills. Cajun was gone within seconds. Refresh dropping down the vent, immediately eliminated as well. And as you can see, G2 already pushing onto that B bomb site. Jack's trying to give OpTic some help, but I don't know if it'll be enough, as it is only Yugi and Config that remain. Bomb going to be planted as well, so what are they going to do? If they get a quick kill, maybe there's a chance, but look at this from Shox. He's creeped all the way around. Being a little bit cautious of it, actually. Somehow does get taken down. You can see Config was spotting it. And eventually Yugi on the op takes some out of play, but 2v2. Still going to be tough. The time beginning to work against them. I think they did spot the player up behind that silo, but it doesn't matter. Jax wins the fight out to go ahead and recover things from that team kill that he got earlier on, meaning right now Yugi the only man standing again. It's just going to have to be that save. I think there's not much you can do. Time and time again OpTic are forced into going for saves because G2 have just been so efficient at taking control of these bomb sites. Body currently sits at 27-14. Kenny at 23-15. Body has been really strong throughout this entire qualifier, I believe. Extremely well yesterday as well. We did actually highlight him at points. And look at this, G2. Quick play on the A. The amount of damage they take from that utility early on is quite ridiculous. And actually does put OpTic in a great position to potentially pick up a round finally on the CT side. But of course, trades for now have remained relatively equal at 3v3. Being turned into a favourable position now as Lucky finds one. Shux comes in and drops refresh and even gets a quick headshot to Snappy in heaven. 15-8 map point for G2 as it looks like OpTic may end up losing their map choice. And heading on to Dust 2 up next against G2 will be a very difficult task for them. Gonna have to be 7 rounds in a row, of course, if they want to take this into overtime and have a chance to keep themselves alive here on Nuke. Again, their buy not being spectacular. Scout and auto shotty. FAMAS, a UMP, and an M4. So, nice variety of weapons, if we at least rather. But that doesn't mean that they're the best weapons, of course. A lot of weaknesses being noted in this buy. Early on, the control going to come in towards outside, as we can see. Asian B actually the man to potentially find the first contact, playing up close in hut. Will he be successful is the question. For now, G2 are going to be taking their time, using that utility well. That smoke should block his vision off. But no, he's playing forward to the smoke. It goes in a little bit too deep, so he's allowed to find one kill before being traded back on. And of course, Yugi's still alive on the scout, getting some damage in. Shock's being careful, he knows he tagged them up. Only needs the USP to finish him off. And that is a 4-on-2. OpTic for the first time in quite a while, looking favoured to take a round. As Refresh should have a very easy kill here on Lucky as well, who creeps into the shotgun's angle. Not much you can really do about that one. All on Jax now. 1 versus 4. Auto shot, you new meta. We've seen a lot of the auto shotgun over these over the 2 days so far, this qualifier, at least in the European one. Snappy should have a 3 kill there to close the round out. Indeed he does, an AK to be picked up. 9 on the board for OpTic, but still 6 more to go. They're going to be facing off against at least 1 more buy, probably 2, before they can actually force the eco from G2. So a tough position. Gonna have to take this one. Another gun round then will come in, and if they claim that one, they force G2 down to an eco. But let's see if they can do it, because of course that was the first round they've actually picked up on the CT side. G2 up to that point had a very impressive run on the offense. They're going to be looking to try and get it back on their way. Again, just sticking to the rifles right now. Kenny happy enough to, at this point, be on the AK. Initial control again, going to come in towards outside, although Config spamming through the door, finds the opening kill. Repositions to hold down the hut, or rather main. Jax is finding trades, comes in with the triple. One of the newcomers to that G2 lineup steps up when it's needed to pull the round back in favour of the French side. Snappy going to try and fight back into it again as he emerges from heaven. No trade to be found quite yet, as Shox does bide his time, waiting for someone to attempt to flank up through the vent. But with the 2v2, the bomb's still under the control of G2 as well. Kenny and Shox can still pretty much take this anywhere, which is the scary thing for OpTic. Snappy though, that's actually the bomb. Okay, dropping the bomb in towards the door now. Doesn't know where Kenny is, so he does need to be careful, but it seems like he has been somewhat cautious of heaven, knowing it's a potential position he could have creeped into. Does some damage, but Kenny ends up actually winning out that fight. And with that, he should be able to pick up the bomb. Only problem is he doesn't know where Yugi currently is, so... Or Yugi, rather, so does have to be quite cautious, clearing out these angles and taking his time in doing so. And that, of course, gives time to Yugi, who currently is actually being more cautious of the approach towards B, it seems. Kenny could bring it down to the vent, and actually that is what he's going to do. Yugi posted up. Quick USP headshot comes in. Double digits to be found for OpTic. As I said, though, of course, G2 are going to find another buy into this round. And, of course, OpTic only surviving with 1 player means they do end up taking a lot of damage. Damage at this point, not too big of a deal. As long as they can get the full buyout, which they can, then it's not really too impactful. Snappy left with no utility, rather. That really being the only weakness on this buy for OpTic, as a pause is called. You would imagine that this is by G2, realizing that slowly but surely OpTic are working their way back into this game. And as they go on to what is their last buy before they will actually have to take an eco, they decide the pause should come in so they can discuss things and see what they're really going to do. As they do actually bring the op out onto Kenny. So, going to be getting that back in play. Yugi does also have one, I believe, being dropped on the floor. You can see it there in front of him. There we go. OpTic slowly working their way back into this one. Can they keep it up? Early on, G2 again going to just go with that initial outside control. Smokes did go down. A wild play from Refresh right there, especially with the Molotov down, as he didn't really have a chance to fall back off. But he gets the kill, and no one else being really nearby to follow it up with a trade. He is allowed to back off the safety. So a 5-on-4 early on for OpTic right now. G2 on the back foot in this round. Shocks. Timing being a little bit unfortunate right there. I do believe actually, no, the angle on A main is being held. But no, actually, config over towards Vent. So Shocks is okay for now. He does have to be cautious of Yugi, who could peek out at any time also. Currently holding, waiting for the peek to come in and cross to be attempted towards Secret. There we go. Nice Molotov that actually does force config out into the open. He still finds a kill with it, as it seems like config wasn't really too ready for the, or rather, Lucky wasn't really too ready for that peek to come in. Teammate does end up getting taken down, so a 4-on-3. Again, of course, the man advantage being retained for OpTic thanks to that. Fresh behind this bomb site, waiting for him to creep in. Finds the first kill on Shocks. Loses Cajun B in heaven at the same time, but for now, does actually manage to stay alive, reposition himself as well. In a spot now where he can try and hold this down and delay time even further. And it's all unlucky now. He should be finished off very quickly. 4 rounds in the difference. That's all that OpTic need to take now to actually send this into overtime, as it's beginning to look doable. Because this round here should actually be an eco coming in from G2. Likely allowing for OpTic to find 12. Some investment. Kenny going down to $900 is surprising. It's been 3 rounds they've lost in a row, so they get $2,900 in the next. Kenny will have enough for the AK in Kevlar, but yeah, I guess that will be okay, because then you can drop the AK over and get an op in return. You don't have the Kevlar and the op, just won't have pistol, won't have utility. Not too bad though. Opening kill there is indeed found by Yugi with the op. And body being ripped off, and of course, as we seen earlier on, damage already being done on the door. Means those couple of players will be much easier to finish off. Only Kenny and Jax remain. Of course, this round, not too much being expected of G2 in it. And they're not able to find anything. OpTic keeping all 5 players alive. Again, at this point, the economy not really been a big deal, since 1 round loss means G2 do actually take the victory. But it does help you build up confidence, keeping all 5 players alive. The buy again now coming in, but G2, one of the last buys they're going to get. Lose this one, they have to take an eco. OpTic find 14. Unless they get a bomb plant, of course, so it is pretty crucial for them to try and close it out here, ideally. I think they're beginning to maybe worry somewhat. Being on the CT side as well for OpTic, 3 rounds now, very, very achievable. As G2 do seem to just start things off with a somewhat slow default. Again, putting some control towards outside initially. That's body right now, not really actually doing so very aggressively like they usually do. Just going to be hanging back, waiting to see if anyone pushes. Looks like G2 do finally want to move forward. Control towards outside. Smoke's going to be going down. And I believe for the first time, they're not actually going to be shooting as they cross over. Instead, going slowly. Trying to maybe attempt to catch someone off guard a little bit more. But as you can see already, OpTic realizing that it is potential that someone could creep down. They have positioned the upper down here. Yugi ready to try and hold it down. If he can just find one, fall back off and stay alive for a while, allow for his teammates to get ready to hold it as well, then that will be worthwhile. But let's see. Molotov put into place to try and delay that push from coming in for at least a few seconds. Yugi on the op actually ready. A nice little angle to hold, but he's being pushed down now. A couple of players hunting him. As we do actually see that opening kill coming in right there from the optics, from the G2 side rather, on towards Yugi. As they do look to try and close things out here and now. They don't want it to go any further. They're trying to end it at this point as it's left onto refresh and config. Make that just refresh. Again, apologies, auto-director not working for me. I do have to try and observe, and Nuke is impossible to observe while actually watching the game. I can't look at the map and cast, sadly. But yeah, refresh now, the only one left standing. 5 versus 1. He needs to pull off the ace clutch. And I doubt this is going to happen. This looks like it is going to be G2 picking up the victory here on map number 1. And that is indeed the case eventually, as we see it being finished off by Lucky. 16 to 12. A good attempt at the comeback from OpTic. But the problem is, of course, Nuke was their map choice. So a little bit of a problem now is Dust 2, of course, going to be coming up next. Oh, also, I haven't changed. I think this is big versus 3D Max because we hopped straight into this game. But yeah, it is going to be a little bit difficult now as they head on to Dust 2. The choice of G2, a map that they are pretty confident on. But then again, as I said, G2 haven't lost that map against Forza earlier on. Maybe it gives some hope to OpTic. But the only way we're going to find out, guys, of course, is by watching that match. So we are going to go ahead and send it on to a quick break. We'll be back with map number 2 as soon as the players are ready to go. But until then, guys, if you're enjoying the stream again, make sure to hit that follow button. And if you're enjoying my cast, then you can go ahead and type !caster to find my Twitter. I appreciate every follow and every single bit of support that I get from you guys. But until we're ready to get back into the game, guys, I am going to send it on to the break.